Hello, and how are you this week? We are just finishing up 3 weeks of quarantine, and it just so happens that my husband got sick this week. So, you, I know you're going through stuff too. We're all just a little bit off kilter from this, and that's one of the reasons I want to talk this week about how to stay positive when your world is turned upside down. Last week I told you a little bit of my story about how my world got turned upside down about 8.5 years ago. Oh, thank you, Linda. Hi, how are you doing? And so right now, all of us are being turned upside down. All of us are dealing with some fears, some uncertainty, and we kind of just don't know what to expect. Everything is changing. But the number one question I get asked about this is, how do you stay positive? Because, having been in bed for 4 years, having been housebound yet another 2 years, and still being somewhat limited, people, the first question they always want to know is, how do you stay so positive? So that's what we're going to talk about. I feel like it can help all of us as we're dealing with all of this. So once again, this week, I guess it was earlier the month. We were in California at the beginning of the month, and on the flight back, there were some people on the plane who were coughing and wearing masks. So we went ahead and put ourselves in quarantine then. And sure enough, Jonathan got sick. That's my husband, got sick this week. And so we don't know if it's corona, but we're treating it like it is. He's had enough of the symptoms that it's like, okay, more than likely that's what it is. As a result, I've been doing more than I probably should be. So I don't know if you can notice this, my headboard back here. I'm back in bed today. Yesterday, by the end of the day, I had been sitting up too much, and I had been lifting too much and just doing too much. And I'm pretty strong. Just to look at me, you wouldn't know I'm dealing with a spinal cord injury, but it was just too much. Normal circumstances, I'd be on the sofa and he'd be taking care of me. But today, I'm back in bed because I don't want to be on the sofa with him. That's where he's being quarantined. So, basically, let's get to it. How do you stay positive? One of the things that I had to do first thing, it was 6 months in, and I realized it looks like this isn't gonna get better. I may be in this bedroom within these four walls the rest of my life. And this is, I think, an important thing that you need to realize. You won't always feel happy. You can stay positive, but be honest about your emotions. The reality is, you are going to have moments when you're feeling sad. You're going to have moments where you're angry and frustrated, and you're going to go through all the stages of grief. We'll probably talk more about that on another FaceTime thingy. But honestly, you've got to be realistic about what you're going through. I mean, for me to have said, "Oh, look at me, I'm doing so great," that would have been a lie, and it would only make it harder for me to come back from it. The real secret to staying positive is to be honest with yourself about what you're going through. What I was going through was devastating. What we're going through now is devastating. It is frightening. We don't know what the future holds. And yeah, you might feel depressed. You might feel sad. We tried to order groceries yesterday, and you've probably been through this. A week to get it delivered? What are you going to do in that week? So there are issues that we are all dealing with, and we need to be honest that it's a problem, it's difficult, it's challenging, but then we also need to look for silver lining. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But if we're honest and we also look for hope, we accept that this stinks, I don't like this, but we're looking for, we look outside the box, looking for, and I think this is part of it. rather than focusing on what you can't do, you turn your focus on what you can do. So I think that's really where you've got to be honest, and then you've got to say, okay, within the limits that I now find myself in, what can I do? And for me, back those years ago when I realized this could be it, I could be in my bed the rest of my life, I started thinking, okay, this I don't like. This is not fun. So what is fun? What would make me happy in this situation? And I'm not thinking, ordinarily we would look for solutions of, oh, I want to go to a theme park, I want to travel, but all those things were off the table for me. So that's why you have to be realistic about what you're going through. Hi, Laura, how are you? So being honest, realizing, okay, what are my borders? What is the fence that surrounds my situation? And I have to stay inside this fence. What are the toys inside this fence that would make me happy? For me, when this first happened, I was living in the suburbs of Dallas, and we had a sliding glass door just on my side of the bed, and I could look out there and I could see a little bit of the outdoors. On the other side, I had a window with a tree out there. I love nature. For me to be able to see outdoors was huge. That created a more pleasant environment. In this house, actually, since then, if I look at a house, I look at the master bedroom. I want to make sure that it's a pleasant enough room that if I got stuck in there again, I would be okay with it. In this house, we've got windows on either side of the bed. That's why it's so bright. And we've got a little door over here. Again, I can see outside from the bed. And I think that makes a difference for me. If I can see green, the grass, if I can see sky, that just lifts my spirit. I really love to hear the birds singing. So yeah, on pretty days, we're going to have the door open where I can hear the birds. That makes a difference for me. So first, you be honest about your situation. Look at what is possible. What can you do in your situation? And then what's of those things can make you happy? Then you have to be proactive. Essentially, you have to decide, okay, I know these things are going on, but I choose to be happy. I choose to be positive. I choose to focus on the things that I can do rather than everything I can't do. And I think, again, that's just a choice. You've got to make that decision. And what I started doing, for me personally, I have a consulting business. I worked with clients all over the world. And up until that point, I had been willing to take on projects I didn't love, work with people who, they were difficult. Once I hit that point, I got a lot more selective about who I worked with. So if any of you are my clients, I chose you because I got really, really selective. If I didn't enjoy a job, I would turn it down. I mean, actually, I quit jobs because I didn't enjoy them. But if somebody pitched me a job and it didn't feel like a good fit, I didn't feel like I would enjoy it enough, I made sure that I found a gracious way to get out of it, because it became very important to me that on a daily basis, I did things that made me happy. Hi, Esther. How are you? Hey, Anthony. It's good to see you again. So you make that choice, and it's a daily choice. It doesn't have to be a lot either. I started making jokes with my kids about, oh, you're lame mother. And it was just taking what was there, poking fun at it, and turning it into something that made me laugh rather than something that made me cry, because it did make me cry for about 2 weeks. And then it was like, no, enough of that. We got to be happy. Now, you figured out the things that you've had that will make you happy. You're starting to put them into your life on a daily basis. Then, for me, one more thing that I did, for me, it helps if I work. I like being busy. It gives me something to think about. It gives me something to focus on. And I love the feeling of moving forward, of making progress on my life dreams. So, I was in this situation and I knew that my life could be shortened by it. So I actually made a bucket list these are the things, and it was a very short list because it needed to be stuff that I could do from bed, and it needed to be stuff that, reasonably I could finish that list. So rather than this long, exhausted list of all the things I would like to do, it was the stuff that mattered most. And for instance, one of them was I had wanted to write a book, and I had always found a reason to be too busy to do it. Well, that became one of my top priorities. There were a few other things on the list, and I've already finished that list. So, I was still housebound when I finished the list, and it was like, okay, now what? I was so used to having these goals that I was striving for, I kind of felt lost without my next thing to work on. And so that's part of it, I think. I think right now there are so many courses that are being offered free. There's so many things that we can do online that are going to keep us busy and keep us focused on positive things, focused on growth rather than focused on just how unhappy we are. And I think that's where we need to be. We need to find those things, the projects that we're interested in. Go ahead, and if you've ever wanted to write a book, start writing stories. If it feels overwhelming, find someone to help you. Do Facebook Live with them, or text them or something. Get help with people to start working on the things that you care deeply about. And really, for me, it's a combination. If you've ever watched Luke Cage, I love what he says. It's only forward. And that's kind of been my attitude, but he kind of put it into words, only forward. There's no reason to go backwards. There's no reason to dwell on the past. We could dwell on the things that brought us to where we are, or we could look forward and move forward and do something that makes us happy. That's what I would prefer that you focus on, because seriously, it will make a difference. Then, bringing in one of my childhood favorite books, Pollyanna. She played the glad game, and that is no matter what the situation, no matter what was going on, she would look for the silver lining. She would look for something about it that she could be glad about. And, we can find that in every situation. One of the things I'm glad about right now is the way, and I mentioned this before, the way everybody is helping everyone else. It's kind of shifting the way we treat one another. And I would like to see that growing. Another thing, how much cleaner the environment is with us driving less and being out less. I love that. I think that's a healthy forward progress for the earth. And again, if we could keep that progress going, if we could keep moving forward on some of those things, how great would it be when all this is over? So right now, what I want you to do is go through the process. Think in terms of what does make you happy. What can you do in your current situation that would make you happy? And then decide to do it on a daily basis. And maybe go ahead and find a project that keeps you busy, something that will help you reach a long-term goal, something that would make you really proud and happy when you finish it. And what I want you to do right now, if you haven't liked Vivacity already, go to my Facebook page, Vivacity. I'll put the link in the description. And then also leave a comment for me telling me what's one thing that makes you happy on a daily basis. Just something small, something that is easy to put into your life on a daily basis. And then let's just do it. Let's make it a challenge this week to do something that makes us happy every single day. Okay? Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again next week.